When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is no better show on your radio. This is Around the House with Eric G.
Everybody stop what you're doing, please!
From your back fence to the sidewalk, Eric will tell you how to keep it all in tip-top shape while helping you save a buck while doing it. If you like DIY projects, it takes a lot of practice to get good at it, and Eric is here to guide the way.
These are the wrong plans. These are the old plans.
All that and more on the fastest 2 hours of home improvement radio.
Stop it! Stop what you're doing!
Welcome to Around the House with Eric G.
Welcome to Around the House with Eric G. This is the Pro Insider. This is the podcast where we talk about the building, design, residential construction, and design industry trends and what's going on out there. This is for you. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about where lumber prices are going and some of the shortages and where I see things happening. Now, first off, I will say, as a disclosure, this is not any kind of investment advice. We're not even talking about investing. What I'm talking about here is how the lumber markets are looking and the trends that they're going and how that might affect you when you walk into your lumber building materials center or home center or wherever you get your lumber. Where is that going to be a month from now, a couple months from now, tomorrow? That's what we're talking about today. So don't mistake this for any kind of investment advice. I'm not your guy. This is the wrong podcast for that. Well, I wanted to say that, we have seen the lumber futures, which is how, this softwood, this whitewood, the plywood, as far as, CDX or OSB or even the, 2x4s and 2x8s for framing, that type of stuff. It's just what it is. It's traded. So it's one of those things where people are speculating. That is why right now, and I'm trying to keep this not in the weeds, but that is why right now, 3/4 inch CDX, which is that really rough plywood that's great for framing and doing stuff around, if you need sheeting for something, that's why cabinet grade plywood right now I think is cheaper than CDX because of how the speculative market is on this type of material. Well, the good news is, we started out a little over a year ago. In the last 52 weeks, the lowest was $367 a thousand board feet. Now, right now, if I look at it, we're under 1,000. It's depending on what time you're listening to this podcast, but it's been bouncing around over the last few days below the $1,000. And you're like, okay, so that's, 3 times the money. Well, it was a lot more than that because this last year, it was as high as $1,700. So we've lost, $720 out of the market. And you're like, well, wait a minute, Eric, we've got pricing here. I'm still paying $66 a sheet for 7/16 OSB at my Home Depot. It's because this stuff, you have to look at when you're looking at these kind of tradings. They're talking about prices that would be like September. We're not talking about today's price. If it tanks today, it might not show up on the store until, these contracts go out. So you got to think about how that works. So right now, lumber's super high. Is it going to be down? Yeah. Is it going to take us probably 60 to 90 days for us to really see that? I would expect that. Now, the thing is with this, all it takes is a bunch of people to go bullish on this. People invest and it runs the numbers back up again because this is supply and demand. But right now, you are going to see a couple things happen. In the summertime, this is where it's going to be a little bit dangerous. I would expect very low inventories in many of your home centers and lumber yards when it comes to these wood products. And it comes down to common sense. So be prepared for this. You might have to order stuff for your project ahead of time. If you're a roofing contractor, you might have to order some inventory. But here's what's going to happen. If you're a lumber yard and you're looking at this going, man, if I would have ordered this 2 weeks ago, maybe I was buying a product that was at my cost at $60 a sheet. Well, if you're worried about it tanking, you don't want to have, 4 rail car loads of inventory, right? Because all of a sudden you're going to be selling that to keep up with your competition. it may be half the price of what you bought it for. So you're seeing companies right now staying low on the inventory. They're going to have maybe a week's worth of material there. And now, all of a sudden, these lumber, production companies out there that are actually, sawmills, all that stuff, the wholesalers, that kind of stuff, those guys are getting stacked up with inventory. They're catching up because they've been adding more bandwidth. They've been turning on more mills, working other shifts. They've been trying to get as much material sold out there they can because they're making more money than they ever have. But as this starts to correct, you're going to see the lumber yards, lumber dealers, home centers dialing inventory back. So I would expect the next 90 days to see less inventory on the shelves everywhere you go. Now, there are some places out there that are lumber yards that have their own mills or they're associated with their own facilities. That might be a little different. So right now, if you're a builder, contractor, homeowner taking on some big projects, I would be shopping around to see who's got the best price because now for the next 3, maybe 4 months, I expect this number to be very volatile. I think that you could see $10 a sheet between your home center and your little lumber yard. And that's the difference between paying, $50 and $60 a sheet or 60 and 70. That's where you've got to pay attention to that. So get your relationships going. Some of these lumber yards are probably going to be a little quicker on adjusting those prices. Now, Home Depot, Lowe's, those guys were super fast on changing prices as they went up. But I can about guarantee they're going to be slow on the way back down. Unless they're getting crushed by the local mills and the local lumber yards, then you'll see that kind of stuff. If it's in your area, the more competition, the more you'll probably see those numbers go down. So what's that going to do? Talking to people that I know in the industry out there that are cabinet designers, that kind of stuff, I'm seeing things slowing down on new construction. Definitely in our area. I'm seeing them across the country and other areas as well. This, I think, will speed some things up again. Once we see lumber get down to a more reasonable price, builders are going to be less likely to be concerned about where those numbers are going. And I think we're going to be heading back in the right direction. But right now, the custom home stuff I'm seeing, there's a lot of people that tap the brakes right now and are trying to figure out what's going on. So spend a little time on that, watch these numbers. I usually just run over and check out what the numbers are doing. I just go over and look at the commodities market over at like investing.com or one of those things, just free, real time. So I'm not looking at yesterday's close. And it's jumped around here just since we've been talking. I've seen it jump around $25 as we're talking, up and down. Oh, there when I hit refresh, and there went another 15. So it's just moving around. So we're going to see that volatility for a while, but we're going to see that at least we're heading downwards is the trend. We'll hit a point now where I think we're going to, on the day range, we're going to see it. We're going to bounce around, and then we'll see another drop down, I think. I don't think we'll see things go back up again, but again, go ask a stock person and a commodities person on that because that's not me. But I think that we're making some big headway, and I think it's going to help all of us out for projects. Maybe you'll be able to this fall take on that deck or that shed or something like that you were going to build, but you just kind of put the project off until you got to that. So just be careful on your projects. And like I said, if you've got a big project coming up, you're building a house, you're building a shed, you're building those kind of things, talk to your lumberyard ahead of time. Give them some time to get materials in case they have to order it in. And that way you can get your price locked in and be good to go. And I think you'll be good. Now, the other problems out there, I'm seeing home builders out there that have weeks and weeks of delays to projects right now because they can't find a water heater to fit in. They can't, their local paint store is out of paint. So those are things that you're seeing out there as well. Appliances, they can't find a dishwasher. Any of those things have been interesting. So just take some time, pay attention to those things. And quite frankly, before you start that project, make sure you've got inventory for what you're doing because, you're seeing kitchen cabinets up. I've seen what should be a 4 or 5 week lead time be 20 weeks. So make sure that you're doing what's right for you, the consumer, getting materials on the job site. No sense demoing something until you've got it all there to make sure you can get the project finished. And that's going to help you out in the trades and make sure that you got stuff going on. Well, hey, this weekend on Around the House with Eric G., I've got a great interview that's almost a pro insider, but we ended up diving into so many tips and tricks for contractors and homeowners. So this is going to be really cool. I've got Elizabeth Gomez from Bridge City Contracting coming on. And this is not an infomercial, but she is doing some innovative stuff out there for contractors and homeowners. And so we give her perspective and a lot of my perspective as well of where you as a builder, you as a remodeler can be doing stuff, including how I don't think, and she agrees with me on this, that free estimates, detailed estimates, are a problem in our industry. And we're going to get into a little bit of homeowner education on that as well to talk about, I don't like people out there working for free. And she's got a great way that it works well for them. I think it's something that we should be taking a look at for more people out there with free detailed estimates. If you're having to spend more than a few hours to knock out a big estimate, then I think there should be some kind of a dollar figure attached to that. And we'll talk about that coming up on the second hour of Around the House with Eric G. this weekend. Anywhere on the Sun Broadcast group that carries Around the House or the podcast, which is, of course, going to be right here or anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're going to have some fun. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the week. Happy Father's Day this weekend to all you dads out there. Enjoy it. Have a good time. I'm Eric G., and you've been listening to Around the House.
Around the House with Eric G. is produced by, designed by Eric G. in association with Salem Media and distributed nationally by the Sun Broadcast Group. All rights reserved. Copyright 2020, designed by Eric G. We will be back next week. If you missed part of the show, check out the podcast of all of our shows at AroundTheHouseOnline.com. Remember, measure with a micrometer, mark with caulk, and cut with an axe. Thanks for listening to Around the House.